Hey everyone, Ian from Bondi Behaviourist here, and today we're going to talk about dog aggression. What causes it, what doesn't cause it, what we can do about it, and what we shouldn't be doing about it. First of all, let's rule out what doesn't cause it. If you've watched any of the previous videos, we know that dogs don't try and dominate one another. If you haven't watched them yet, go and watch them. This is going to make a lot more sense once you have. What does cause it? Aggression in dogs, unless it's prey drive, which is extremely rare and does not look like normal dog aggression that we see in the dog parks and in a lot of circumstances. It's silent and weird and a whole other thing. Dog aggression is driven by stress, fear and anxiety. Now, none of those things are choice. Nobody would ever choose to feel that way. And so this means that what happens is the two sides of the brain, the amygdala in the brain starts to override the thinking side of the brain because it is starting to sense stress. Once that amygdala in the brain starts to fire, it is reflexive and impulsive and there isn't a thought process that goes on. It is simply them trying to survive. They've got as much control over that side of the brain as you do if somebody crept up behind you and screamed in your ear. You cannot promise how you're going to behave. This is why trainers that say they can guarantee behaviour are full of shit. I can't guarantee my behaviour, nobody can, let alone somebody else's dogs. Guaranteeing behaviour is a myth. So anyway, carrying on. With dog aggression, it is a panic attack. Survival says that conflict is a terrible way of surviving. It is a lot safer to try and avoid conflict. If a dog consistently gets into aggressive situations, it is probably because it has been compromised. It has been put in a situation that we've put it in, and it has not chosen to be there. If it consistently acts aggressively, we call this learnt aggression. This is where the dog has practiced a coping mechanism. This is where the dog is confident that the behaviour is going to work, but ultimately it's still driven by stress, fear and anxiety. So if you treat it like a confidence thing, it is like putting a band-aid on a broken arm. You are treating the symptom, not the cause. If you treat it out of stress, fear and anxiety, this is how we get to the root core of the problem. If you reprimand the problem, if you come in hot and actually start scolding the dog, you will compound the learnt negative association. The dog's already having a terrible time, to the point where it's already panicked. If you come in then and break down the relationship between you and your dog even further by telling them off, then you're assuming that they're a moral creature, which they're not. Go back and watch the previous videos. You're assuming that this is them choosing to be this way, which it's not. And you are not taking responsibility for the situation you put them in the first place. This is not appropriate to reprimand aggression. People get worried that if you start to use positive reinforcement, that you're going to make them want to feel aggressive again. Going back to, it is not choice. If I've had a shit day, and I start acting aggressively, or even just ranting, and maybe even that growl and off, and everything's crap. Somebody goes, mate, have a beer, go and relax. Does it make me want to have a shit day again? Does it make me want to rant again? No, it builds positive associations. What you can't do, it's impossible to reinforce a negative emotional state. You can't make anybody want to feel stressed, fearful, or anxious. It's just not possible. When we look at it, if we're looking at treating aggression reactively, then we're as reactive as they are, and we're not handling the problem. You might shut them down, you might actually stop it in that moment, but you are not building positive associations. You're probably compounding the stress, and so increasing the likelihood of them acting aggressively in the first place. This is why we take a proactive approach. If we start to notice the early onset of stress, when the dog starts to communicate this is getting stressful, then we have one goal: make them less stressed, make them comfortable. Now, use your positive reinforcement, use food, use pats, use whatever the dog deems rewarding by giving it to them, and start to induce endorphins into the system. Start to either create distance, use your positive reinforcement, and just basically start to make the dog feel better. This starts to build positive associations. The dog, in that case, starts to memorize, this isn't so bad, this isn't so bad. We learn different coping mechanisms, we learn how to signal calmly, we learn that we can leave if we need to. It's nice and simple for the dog, and it keeps the dog well in the threshold. If we can use positive reinforcement to start to keep that dog below threshold, slow it all down, start to let him look at it, reward him, look at it, reward him, we start to create a positive memory bank. We start to counter condition, and what we're using is positive reinforcement to alter the emotional response of the dog. We don't have to use dog training for simple sit and stays. By using positive reinforcement, we start to induce endorphins, we keep stress levels low, and we literally start to change the way the dog feels about something. That's what real dog training is about. Not taking it into a situation, flooding it, and then correcting it for breaking rules that it was never explained to. That's just dog bullying. That's not appropriate. People ask me, well, Because a lot of the situations we have to slow it down. We have to make sure that dog doesn't run around the dog park. Say he's being dog aggressive. It's not appropriate for that dog to run around the dog park. And people go, well, what about letting it run around? Well, what's fairer? Putting it in a situation, forcing a panic attack, or taking it out and making sure that it has positive experiences. We only take our dogs out for them to be happy. Is it not pointless to just let them go around having panic attacks all the time? It's just absolutely counterintuitive. When I take my dog out, I want him to have a good time. And he gets to choose whether he's having a good time or not. If he's running around acting aggressively, he's communicating, this is the worst experience of my life. If my dog gets taken out on lead and sees something and I make it positive, I think that is a much better walk than letting my dog run around and get into conflicts, ruining his own life, probably ruining mine because I'm getting stressed every day, ruining other people's lives for attacking their dogs. Don't be so selfish. Let's just look after our dogs and other people and keep them under threshold, looking after their stress levels, looking after their emotional health, and problem behaviours like aggression will start to go away. Any questions, guys, leave it in the comments and we'll get back to you. Other than that, have a great day.